Hi, hello. Welcome. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. It is Como Day. We call it Friday.
I like the sound of
Well,
that.
it's Como Day because you got paid, so it's really Como Day.
It's a glorious Friday, and you want to come in talking about taxes and trying to depress me on Friday.
I'm just telling you, I have no hope in the Republican Party in the state of Louisiana stopping this. What they calling it is investment. There we got to invest. What did I tell you? By the way, good morning. This is Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607.
You just come out hollering
Hickson,
first.
I know. Well, I dare call it Como Day. I'm just having a good time with you, brother. Anyway, great to have you with us as we rock and roll. It's Open Forum Friday. You can talk about anything you want to talk about, and even the Russians. Oh, my God. It's just become a joke. The press is becoming more of a joke every day. It's like they're burning up and they're asking for more gasoline to put on themselves. And I think that's what they're eventually doing with all this. You know, just unbelievable. They didn't do any of this with Obama. They didn't challenge that man on nothing. And boy, he's a Marxist leading this country down the wrong path. They never said anything about it. It's unbelievable. Anyway, great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it. Hotline. We were supposed to have John Kennedy on today. By the way, they had to back out. He's actually flying home, and so we may not have him. And they're supposed to get back in touch with me and let me know what day he wanted to come on. And I wanted to ask him about some state stuff too. I'm telling y'all right now, it's no way my little voice on the radio is going to stop the amount of taxes that's going to be increased on us this spring, and it couldn't pass without Republicans. It's coming. I'm letting y'all know. I'm begging y'all to pay attention to this stuff. Every state senator, every state rep, they got people that ought to be in their ears before April 10th and tell them we are sick of the tax increases. They've not spent the money properly in Baton Rouge. Giving them more money makes it worse. I'm tired of Jim Beam, the Gannett newspapers, the Advocate, and the Time-Picayune doing exactly what I told y'all they were going to do. I've watched this enough. I know what's going to happen. My fear is that Republicans, I got to count on Republicans. The Republicans in the Senate who voted for John Alero will vote for this called tax reform. It's not tax reform. It's tax increases. Let's call the dang thing what it is. It's tax increases, and they're coming at us, and they're coming at us every single way. And every day there's some article from Jim Beam or the Advocate or Times-Picayune or Greg Hilburn who couldn't find where his tennis shoes were this morning. They're the ones going to tell us what we need to do, and people are going to bite into it, and they're going to get all the people that depend on taxpayer dollars to come rally around and say, we got to have the money, all we do has been cut, and the cuts are lies. They're outright lies. But we got the same problem with the fake news here as we do in Washington. It's all fake news. Now, remember the other day there was an article. Louisiana comes in dead last in the new best states ranking. But I noticed that the press has been bragging about this. They put it all over the place. Normally they're trying to hide this stuff. They're not. You know why? Because the solution is called invest. They call it the solution invest, but really it's tax increases. That's all it is. The new name. Even Bill Edwards is out there jumping on the bandwagon. They're taking and running with the press. I'll get to that in a few minutes. First thing I want to do, Brandon, if we could pull Congressman Cedric Richmond's rude, lewd, and sexist comment. And so we're going to play that first. This is actually him, so you got to listen close at this deal. And by the way, Clancy DuBose, who was a Mary Landrieu sycophant. And I know Clancy. I like Clancy. But he's a liberal sycophant, kind of like Bob Mann, who don't have the sense God gave a baboon in the backside.
I read one of his articles.
If you read a Bob Mann article and you agree with anything he says, you're a Looney Tune. I mean, that's so. Hopefully, you didn't read it, and if you understood it, you probably had problems. Anyway, we'll get to all that, Brian. I'm loaded up today, as you can tell, and I didn't even get to Jeff Sessions and what's going on there. But here is Cedric Richmond, the black Democrat from New Orleans.
And you even mentioned Kellyanne and the picture on the sofa. But I really just want to know what was going on there, because, I won't tell anybody. And you can just explain to me that circumstance, because she really looked kind of familiar in that position there. But don't answer. And I don't want you to refer back to the 90s.
Monica Lewinsky, 90s, folks. And let me tell you something was sad. The picture was that a black caucus was there. A black caucus, all the black representatives and senators. I think Trump's decided to put some more money into black universities.
Yeah.
They were there, And yet, if you notice, there was no laughter. Nobody thought this was funny. Now, to the credit, the governor's come out and said something against him. The newspaper articles are now writing stuff against him. But you see how they get away with it. The Republican would have done that. He'd been fried. But the liberal Democrat, you're going to get a slap on the hand because, and by the way, he owes that lady an apology big time.
Oh, no, but he said his comments, his joke was misunderstood.
Oh my God. Is him and James Proctor, the guy from Lafayette Invisible, whatever it is? Indivisible. Is that, they're not brothers, are they? Because you listen to them and it's, oh, no, that's not what I said. Well, what did you say? So anyway, all right. Clancy DuBose, basically, everybody's ripping this guy now. So Clancy DuBose, I want y'all to, and folks, you help me. And Brandon did a good job. He said, Moon, you listen. He said, I'm not going to even tell you what to think. You just listen to this. So I'm going to let you listen to Clancy DuBose. I think there's 2 or 3 cuts here.
3.
Okay, let's do the first one.
I think it's a story for a day. I think Kellyanne Conway makes headlines on her own.
She makes headlines of her own, but she don't make headlines like that. A sexist joke. She's not making headlines like that. That's not who she is. And yet, this guy's able to do this. Clancy DuBose is actually defending Richmond. And remember now, he was a Mary Landrieu sycophant. Okay, here's another one.
You can argue whether Richmond was a little over the line, but the whole point of being there and of Senator Scott being there was to make fun on live TV on C-SPAN.
Making fun. When is it so much fun to go back to Monica Lewinsky days? Which is sad, which the left rails against stuff like that all the time unless they do. This Clancy DuBose is defending Richmond. That's what it sounds like to me. Maybe not to you. One more.
He never intended this to be taken seriously.
Wow. Okay. Well, it wasn't. It must actually, if he intended it to be funny, why in the heck was it not funny? If he intended it to be some humor there, who laughed? Nobody. Nobody laughed at it. So bottom line is, Clancy DuBose is a buffoon for even bringing up the comment. He's the only one. Towns-Picayune, advocate, even the governor, the one-term governor, came out against what Richmond said. Governor Edwards and others call on Richmond to apologize to Trump advisor Kellyanne Conway, and that's exactly what they could do. She was not in any position. She was not doing anything wrong. It was in public with a bunch of folks there, the Black Caucus, whoever was there.
It was leaders from the historically black colleges. As Trump was getting ready to announce that he was going to be pouring billions of dollars
to him. And what does the black dude do? The black representative from New Orleans, the black guy brings up Bill Clinton. God have mercy.
But you know what's interesting about all this? See, when you look at President Trump and the money that he's talking about giving to historically black colleges and universities, you talk about, whether you agree with it or not, the child care program that he's looking at implementing for mothers. Guess what voters he's going after? Black voters and female voters, which have long been held by the Democrat Party. They don't like somebody going after their voters.
That's why they're going after Russia. They're trying to stop his momentum is what they're trying to do. Anyway, interesting. But anyway, this guy does it. All right. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. It's an open forum Friday edition. Now, I want to jump back into the state. Louisiana comes in dead last in new best state rankings. First time I ever seen everybody in the press to keep putting this out. And then they put out the solutions. The solutions, according to the press, is we need to make more investments in every part of government. We need to spend more and tax more. Invest, invest, invest. That's the new word. And by the way, not only is the press, the Advocate, the Gannett paper, Jim Beam, the New Orleans Times-Picayune, all of them are using the word invest. Here's one in Times-Picayune. Louisiana can move up in national ranking if state invests. And they use the story of showing us in laughs by saying that if we will, quote, invest more money in the state government, my God, we can get out of this. That's all they're talking about. And it's amazing. And I'm going to get to this. Governor promises, you ready, headlines, Jeff Matthews, to invest in the future. Okay? Gannett newspaper. Invest. Everything now is invest. It's not tax increase. It's all invest. And what does Jim Beam talk about? He's talking about budget reform, tax reform. And he's using the same scenario that was used when Stelly passed. Everything exactly the same. I'll probably go back and find an old article pushing the Stelly tax cut, and he mentions about the sales tax, the temporary sales tax. I told y'all when the Republicans helped pass that last year, that was a bad idea. Now, I don't remember who the guy that came in here. I think, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. John Paul.
Oh, John Paul Cousson?
John Paul Cousson. Vote for John Paul, y'all. Came in here and said, we got him. We got him now. I tried to explain. He was a young rep, and he didn't understand, but I did. You didn't have them. They got you. And that's exactly what happens. Exactly what I told people when they passed these temporary taxes. The Stelly bill was a temporary sales tax on food and utilities. The Stelly bill made it a permanent income tax. So when they put this sales tax, I try to tell John Paul this, and I'd be glad to discuss this with him on the air again, that you didn't have them, they got you. Because now they're going to come back and say, well, we got to extend the sales tax, and we got to extend these temporary taxes, or we need to make it into permanent tax. And they're going to call that tax reform. Jim Beam wouldn't know if tax reform slapped him in the face. The Times-Picayune, the Gannett papers, they wouldn't know what tax reform is. They think tax reform is spreading out taxes, increasing taxes on everybody, getting more money for state government to invest more in roads, more in education, more in the criminal system. They believe that's tax reform, is you paying more money. It's not tax reform. It's not. And every time they say this, invest in tax reform, and what did they do? These panels they put together, and I know we got to take it. These panels they put together, that's the cover for the press. That's why they put them together. Jim Beam, Times-Picayune, Advocate, Gannett newspaper, they always go back to these so-called panels as experts. They're not experts. They're just telling you how to raise more taxes. Anyway, we got that. More to come. Your calls, we're going to get popped, and Republicans are going to be doing the popping. We'll be right back. Hi, y'all all. Welcome back. Open Forum Friday. Hi, y'all all. Welcome. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it. Hotline. I wonder why Bob Mann spends so much time on slamming Trump and no time on Richmond and no time on Colonel Mike Edmondson. Bob Mann, I'm telling y'all, and what a sycophant. I mean, just leftist. And yet he spends no time on the real stuff. Same thing with Jim Beam and the rest of them. I'm just telling y'all, folks, it bothers me, really, really bothers me that we're going to watch the legislature, Republican-led, give it on taxes. I'm going to hear from them. Now, I mess with John Paul. I actually like John Paul, but I mess with him because what he told me was, we got him now. We got him now with the sales tax. The sales tax, now we got them. They got to come to us. No, they don't. They're going to tell y'all either re-up the sales tax for 2 more years or let's do tax reform. And anybody that thinks what's coming out of the legislature's tax reform is really sick. Mr. Beam has gotten to be a sycophant for all this crap, too. He constantly pushes tax. But he loved Stelly. And that's why he loved Jay Darden, because Jay Darden passed the Stelly bill in the Senate. You know? He says, 2 compelling philosophies at work, hardline Republicans. And then he says, Edwards and the Democratic colleagues. And the hardline Republicans. I mean, Jim's no different than the national press. Hardline Republicans, particularly those in the House. You know why he doesn't say in the Senate? Because he knows John Alario, and they're gonna do what Alario wants. Whatever comes out of Larry's mouth is what's going to happen, folks. Don't even listen to Bill Edwards. Don't listen to the Republicans. There's not enough conservative Republicans, I promise y'all. There's not enough conservative Republicans to do anything that they want to do. You got weak Mickey Mouse Republicans. I mean, Mickey Mouse. And he says the hardline Republicans say we spend too much money, government's too big. Edwards and his Democrat colleague, the nice guys, not the hardline Republicans. In the legislature, believe there are many poor and low-income citizens who need government assistance that is expensive. Louisiana has no state property tax. Now Jim wants a state property tax. That a boy, Jim, which is a major revenue producer in many states. But Jim, they not like us, and we're not like him. Why don't we be like Texas and get rid of sales taxes? Get rid of all these fees and all this stuff that's working. Yeah, we'll have higher property taxes. The declining price of oil, and here's the problem, Brandon. They raise all these taxes and oil prices shoot back up. They're going to get double the money. See, the goal for the left in the press, they put Edwards in there with the help of Jay Dardenne, the knife stabber, and that Scott Angel. Their goal is to win as many taxes as they can. All comes back. They have plenty of money, and they're going to go out here and tell everybody, hey, Bill Edwards stabilized this budget. That's the only goal they want, so they can get him reelected before hell comes through. But raising taxes is not the answer. Here's Beam pointing out something I said. A recent task force. What is that? The task force. That's what they use to undermine us. What this task force says. So who's on the task force? Jay Dardenne was on the task force. Hilario. Jim Richardson. Same people on the revenue estimating conference. You know? And then here's Jim. A recent task force and others before that one know what the solutions are. Take the sales tax, for example. It's the highest in the country. Why? Jim, you pushed the sales tax on us last year. They voted the sales tax on us. Then they saying it's the highest in the country. We knew that when they voted for it, Jim. That was the setup. That's what I tried to explain to John Paul Y'all. I tried to explain it. You think you got them. They got you. I've seen this happen already. The solution being proposed to make sales tax apply to services like cablevision, satellite television, repairs to non-residential commercial property, and security services. That's what Jim Beam wants. Taxes on a lot more items. I'm just telling you. Look, he says, changing income tax difficult position, taxpayers could benefit from lower rates if they're willing to give up some deductions. The first year would be revenue neutral, meaning income taxes wouldn't bring any more revenue. Same thing they did with Stelly. They said it would be tax neutral. And yet, they said now it was creating $850 million a year. Folks, this is the same thing. This is the same thing that I saw years ago. Nothing's going to stabilize an out-of-control, out-of-spending budget. Nothing. We can't give them enough money. All right, when I get back, phone calls. James in New Iberia, Scott in Shreveport. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. We take a break. Be right back. Hi, hello. Welcome back, Moon Griffon Show. Open Forum Friday. I'll tell y'all we're going to get to some calls. Brandon's going, you got some calls. Yeah, I know.
I wouldn't have minded if you and Jay would have continued that conversation again, though, man.
Oh, well, we have some doozies off there. Yeah. We need to have them on there. Let me, one more, I promise, going to the phone calls. Governor promised to invest. Here's the other story. Louisiana can move up national ranking if state invests. You see, this is all calculated. This reminds me of the national press. Governor one-term Edwards, at some point we have to stop looking for new and better ways to cut, start looking to invest in the things that give people opportunities. They really believe all over the state and the country and the world, if people could just take more money from people and help other people, it's going to all make it better, and it doesn't. He talked extensively about stabilizing the budget, reforming the tax system. Real quick, and then we'll go to the phone lines. Louisiana can move up the national ranking if state invests. This is the Times speaking. Folks, this is all planned. Widespread cuts to health care and higher education in the past decade and the highest incarceration rate in the world. What did they bring up? Best state lists. Why? Because the best state list, and I told y'all this, and we were the worst. It was all based on government putting more money in government. That was it. That whole thing, I told y'all when I read that. Somebody said, man, we last again. I said, hold up just a second. That's by design. They're going to use this to raise more taxes. And they're not. And by the way, the other thing that I find, neither did former Governor Jindal refuse to accept the federal Medicaid. They mention Bobby Jindal in these articles all the time. One article did say a lot of these people voted with Jindal. And here's the third thing they put in here, Brandon. You heard me say it. A task force released recommendations. And they're grabbing the task force and they're using that, which, by the way, Jay Dardenne was in it. John Hilario was in it. Jim Richardson, all the same people that helped screw the state up on the task force. the same people that have screwed the state up like Hilario for 47, 48 years. Jim Richardson's been around doing this. Jay Dawes been around doing this. All the people that screwed the state up, they're on the task force. They're on every one of these little things. It's amazing. And yet, you people are going to buy into it. They're going to make it worse. And, of course, he talked about roads and we're going to raise taxes for roads, too. Even though they're not going to tell us what did they do with all the road money we gave them over the last 30, 40 years. That's not important. What's important is we give them some more. Telling you, it's starting to bother me, really bother me. And these Republican elected officials really bother me. The ones in the Senate, we ought to be eaten up. All right, let's go to James in New Iberia. Been waiting a long time. James, how you doing, sir?
Hey, Moon. I think that Jeff Sessions showed unbelievable weakness yesterday in that press conference to recuse himself. All he did was give credibility to this whole idea that somehow Trump had some sort of collusion with Russia to influence the American election. And it's so ridiculous. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous to think that Russia put Trump in there. And all he did was give credibility to this whole investigation.
I'll be honest with
you.
By
recusing himself.
I'm a little bit there with you. I wouldn't have done that. I'd have let me tell you something. Eric Holder would have never recused himself for nothing. The woman that was in there before him would have never recused himself. What happens, though, is Republicans tend, and remember, he's good friends with Lindsey Graham and John McCain and all these people. And you start listening to these people. And so you do what you think's best. I disagree a little bit with you saying it looks like he's playing along with this. I think this is going to backfire on the Democrats even more, and especially the press. I really do. Now, I think Sessions is a tough guy, and I don't think there's nothing there in the Russia deal yet. I haven't seen any proof yet. So if there's nothing there, what is he going to be recusing himself of? You see what I'm saying? If there's nothing there, what is there to recuse himself from? So if he goes, now look, I'm taking a shot at this one. If he recuses himself, which I agree with you, I wouldn't have done it. Then if he recuses himself and nothing ever comes of it, who cares? But I see what you're saying. I know the PR move, but you got to remember, whether he did or not, the press corps is going to pound anybody and everybody. And the two they really want is Trump and Sessions. Sessions because he's Attorney General. I mean, he's the man. And then, of course, Trump's the President of the United States.
See, that's the problem, Moon. The thing is, it's a big conspiracy theory that the press and the Democrats are pushing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, look at what happened when we had that whole birther movement. The Democrats and the press said, oh, no, that's a big conspiracy, and they circled the wagons around Obama.
Sure.
Why can't the Republicans do the exact same thing?
Well, for the same
reason.
Point
to the whole birther movement and say, look, y'all circled the wagons around Obama because y'all claimed it was a conspiracy theory. Why aren't y'all claiming this as a conspiracy theory as well?
Yeah, but that's where Republicans are so weak. I just explained to you how weak they are in Baton Rouge. They're so weak. They own the House and the Senate, and yet they're going to get nothing done, and the Democrats are going to be laughing at the end. And that's what happened. We had 16 Republicans say he ought to recuse himself. I mean, they count Lindsey Graham as one of them, but I don't count him as a Republican. Man, he's fallen off a cliff a long time ago. So, look, I think your point's well taken, James. I don't want to throw Sessions under the bus, so and I don't want to say he was weak, but I wouldn't agree with myself. If I knew for a fact I didn't do nothing, I'd say to hell with you. But I know what he's doing it for because it got these people in his ears that are friends of his. So I guess he's trying to seek advice a little bit. But I think he's fine. I really am going to be shocked if that goes anywhere. But they're going to try no matter what. And when this passes, they're going to try the next step. That's all we're watching now. So, anyway, appreciate the call. Let me move on. Shreveport, we go. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. Scott, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Moon. Talking about Jeff Sessions and Trump, one thing that people in Louisiana don't really realize is, I follow the Denver, Colorado, Oregon, California, they're local news. And they don't talk about Russia. What they talk about is Trump and Sessions' war on recreational marijuana.
Oh, my God.
So as they have increased their population of residents with people who want to buy recreational marijuana, just walk in any store and purchase a $7 gram, they have increased the amount of Democrats in those states and decreased the amount of Democrats in other states because the richer have moved. Thereby, they've reduced their electoral votes in other states and increased by increasing their numbers in Colorado.
You saying Republicans have?
No, the Democrats.
Okay.
I'm moving into Colorado. They say, oh, well, we're going to move our whole company because we can go to Colorado and we can just buy it. There's no big deal. We can just buy it. Well, the problem with that is that they left Louisiana. And so they reduced their voter base. They reduced their chances of even winning for the Democrats out of Louisiana, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, because these people literally just got up and moved.
They can smoke marijuana.
Just so they could smoke marijuana. But when they did that, they also saw a situation where they could make money. The faster they sell their house in Lafayette or Shreveport and move to Denver or Boulder, what they did was they bought a house for, say, $200,000. But by the next year, it was worth $300,000.
I'll be damned.
And by the next year, it was $400,000. And the homeless people increase, where you actually can go on Craigslist and rent refrigerator boxes to sleep in. There's that many people crowding into Colorado, Oregon, California just to smoke the pot. Okay, but now whenever Trump and Sessions get in control, they said, you know what? Trump says, I don't smoke dope, I don't drink, I don't do any of that stuff. Sessions says, I agree. Let's get these people. They agree with the law about medical marijuana. Yes, if your child is autistic and has seizures, let's get them a prescription. The doctor can control the substance and test your blood to find out how much you're using, because you can't overdose on marijuana. But when you look at these people over there in Colorado, they're looking at it like this. He's at war on our legal marijuana. If he stops it, our housing bubble that we have created is about to burst. So, yeah, we bought a house for $300,000, and it's worth $500,000 now. If he attacks our legal marijuana state, not only do we lose $1.6 billion in taxes that they brought in last year, but they're going to lose their house. They're going to be worth only $200,000 each.
Yeah.
So this is why they're attacking Sessions. That's why they're attacking Sessions.
All right. Got to run. Thanks for the call. 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline. Brandon's playing music over there. We'll take a break. Be right back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Flashback. This is all over the place, especially on Drudge. Chuck Schumer meets with Putin in New York City. Democrat, where's the outrage? Democrat Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer continues to push the Russian conspiracy. And that's what it is. But it was Schumer who met with Putin in New York City, not Trump. The pictures above, 2003, a Russian President Putin right enjoys a Krispy Kreme donut and coffee with Senator Schumer as they laugh, and it's all cool. The hysteria of Trump administration officials talking or not talking with Russia needs to end. It's getting in the way of putting America back on track. That's what Democrats do. Obama divided and conquered. I wish I had tape of that first program when Obama was elected president. It said he would be the biggest divider and conqueror that you've ever seen because that's all they can do. I wish I would have taped that, because it's the exact words I used. And he was. But now the press won't ever point out about that. But Schumer meet with Putin. You ought to see him drinking a donut and coffee and having a good old time. You know, like, hey, we got this together, man. We good buds. Anything you need, let me know. At least that's what Obama told him. Hey, let me get reelected first. But the press keeps running around. Anyway, it's on the head of the Drudge Report, drudgereport.com. Also, the Chicago man terminated for the tweet about a widow of a Navy SEAL killed in Yemen. Another day, another tweet. Before they go on to talk about Chicago, and Daniel Grillo Grillo, is that how you say his name?
Yeah, Grillo.
Okay, had a job at a financial firm. The next day he didn't. During the speech, Grillo, at the time a principal of Liberty Advisor Group, tweeted, "Sorry, Owen's wife, you're not helping yourself or your husband member by standing there and clapping like an idiot. Trump just used you. Fired." Out. Finally, they got somebody on the left for being ignorant. All these speeches, when they point out to people, they're all part of the speech and all part of the process. The woman wouldn't use. The woman looked really like a really sincere lady who had lost a loved one. And the left can clown about anything and usually get away with it. Now the guy doesn't have a job. Now, there'll be some leftist firm probably hire him. That's fine. But you got to be careful. I mean, you just got to be careful what you tweet and what you say. But this guy probably deserved it if anybody deserved it. You know, you sitting there, you got somebody lost a loved one and doing what you're doing. Makes no sense. Anyway, gone, job lost. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. And by the way, folks, I'm going to stay on the legislature as much as I can, but it's all going to go down to it's a 60-day session. It is a tax increase session. And I look for the Republicans to cave because really that's what they do. And that's why it's hard for me to ever go back and be a Republican. I'm not talking about you people that are registered Republicans out there busting your fanny. We're getting Republicans elected. Bobby Jindal and everybody made a big deal about the House and Senate going Republican in Baton Rouge. And it means nothing if they don't deliver. Delivering on tax increases. The Republican-led House, Republican-led Senate under Bobby Jindal and John Bel Edwards, the one-term governor, and co-governor Jay Darden, have raised $2.8 billion worth of taxes on you already. And I'm telling you, I'm making a prediction by the time they finish this next session, because I don't think we have tough Republicans. We don't have enough of them. I think they're going to raise another $1.5 billion. Remember, they want about $750 million to $1 billion just on the gas tax. If they get the gas tax too, they may raise somewhere in the upwards of $2 more billion, which will put it close to $5 billion in new taxes. And if you think that's going to get the budget straight, it might help it for a year or so, and then it's going to start down. And they also count on oil and gas to go up, the prices to go up. And if it does, that's more money coming in. I just know this. Where's the Republicans? Because I tell you what, it's getting harder and harder for me to support them, especially the ones that go to Baton Rouge. I hope y'all listening, y'all. Let's go to Ray in Lafayette. Ray, how you doing, sir?
I am blessed and grateful.
You sound like it. That's a good thing.
You know, I've been thinking, I think Democrats are one good reason why there might be some merit that men have come from monkeys.
Oh, God. Brandon, hold up. Brandon, put your hand on the delay button. Go ahead, Ray. I just got to make sure, Ray. It's nothing personal. I just got to make sure.
I understand. Let me change gears for a second. I have a special invitation for you that might help save some lives. For example, are you aware that we have no special needs shelters in Lafayette? In other words, if we ever have a power shortage, there's going to be a lot of people that's on oxygen that can't live to get to another city to get some power for a few hours even. But that's just one of the things that we're going to talk about. We'd like to invite you to come tomorrow and every first and third Saturday to our town hall series. It's an opportunity for all of Lafayette to stand up and speak out on subjects that you feel that can help make Lafayette better. We have about 10 of them already, and with your knowledge of current events, Moon, you'd be a big asset. No selling or religious matters are going to be discussed. And we're going to give free constitutions, free Bill of Rights, and free declarations of independence.
Well, you can't beat that.
Well, that's tomorrow and every first and third Saturday, tomorrow morning at Thomas Park Recreation Center, 10 a.m., and we'd love to have you. If anybody has any questions, they can call 981-4265. But I'm serious about this special needs shelter. I have one of my family members, and we're constantly worried and concerned. If our power goes out, we got a problem.
Yeah.
And this affects several thousand people in the area.
All right, Ray. Thank you, brother. God bless. I hope you get a big crowd. Let's go to Mike in Shreveport. Mike, how you doing?
Doing good, Moon. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to hear from you.
Good to hear from you. I listen to you every day, so I thought I'd call in. Hey, I met you several years ago at the final weigh-in at the Bassmaster Classic. You were sitting right behind me in the booth at the Century Tail.
I tell you what, I remember that like that was yesterday. I just kept having this vision that I was going to be the one driving up weighing the fish, but they didn't let me. They didn't let me fish it. That was the only problem I had.
I heard that. I appreciate what you do, Moon.
Thank you, sir.
And yesterday you were talking about cleaning the bathrooms at school.
Yeah, they said in Japan that they get the kids to clean them, and they don't worry about janitors and custodians. They get the kids to keep up with all that. I just thought it was a neat thing. That's why I brought it up.
Well, hey, I used to have to do that. As if I went to Jesuit High School here in Shreveport.
Yeah.
I'm fixing to tell you the year, so then you'll figure out how old I am. I started in 72, and I graduated in 76.
All right.
Now the school is Loyola College Prep. But anyway, if you got in trouble at school, you had to go to what's called PH or penance hall, and one of the things you had to do was clean the bathrooms and clean the toilets. And I hate to tell you, I got in trouble a few times.
Boy, I'm glad they didn't have that rule when I was coming up. Brandon, this is a project. This is a project. I got in trouble for talking too much. I know that shocks y'all, but I could have been I would have been a bathroom orderly, latrine orderly, if I had that when I was coming up.
I can't believe you talk too much, man.
That's what my daddy told me one time. He said, son, if you don't quit talking, it's going to cost you. And it does cost me a lot of money to do this.
Well, I don't think it would surprise you, Moon, but I used to get in trouble for laughing too much.
Oh, well, I agree with you. Well, you probably did. Yeah. You would have laughed at me if you'd have been in the same class.
Yep.
All right.
So, if you no, seriously, I'm serious. If you acted up, like if you were late, it was pretty strict school I went to. It was run by the priest.
Was that when you say Jesuit? Was that in the New Orleans area?
No, in Shreveport.
Okay, in Shreveport. I can believe that.
That's Loyola College Prep.
They must have had a few nuns walking around.
Well, we had the girls' school was St. Vincent.
Okay.
And the guys' school was Jesuit, run by the priest. Well, then.
Let me tell you something.
They combined the two.
Let me tell you something. You make somebody in high school have to clean toilets or do something like that, there'd be lawsuits everywhere. They would call that inhumane.
My little brother is the principal over at Loyola right now, so everybody listening will know who I'm talking about.
All right. Got to run, Mike. God bless. Appreciate the call. Open forum Friday. One more hour to go. Don't go nowhere, folks. We just cranked up.